everybody. Happy Tuesday. Thank you all for being here. We are super excited to be with you for another Tuesday. If you don't know, my name is Kat, the Nurse Flipper. I'm joined by my co-host, Rod, Picking and Punching. And below me, she hasn't been on in a while, but she is back. We have my good friend Yvon, Thrifty Rich, and Caddy Corner. It is his first time. We have Ryan from Galaxy CDs, and I'm going to let Yvon and Ryan introduce themselves, and then we'll get your questions. Get your questions in early. I don't think we got to all of them last week, so get them in early to make sure they get answered while we're live. And here is Miss Yvon.
Hi, friends. It's Yvon. Yes, I haven't been on for a while. Those of you that hang out with me on my channel might know that I did have a second surgery. But I just got back from the doctor's today, you guys, and he has taken me out of lockdown, as you speak. I can drive, which I have been anyways for the last week and a half, and I can lift a little more than 10 pounds. So I did come back to work about a month and a half ago, but he's given me the go-ahead to go ahead and work a little bit more. So I hope you'll join me over on my channel, Yvon Thrifty Rich. If you haven't interacted with me before, I've been doing this for a long time, since before the internet, so I'm giving my age. But anyways, hi, you guys. I know most of you over in the chat. Hi. And I'm excited to meet Ryan. I just finally found you through Kat, and I subscribed yesterday, 2 days ago, and watched a couple of videos. There were some good ones. But hi.
Perfect. Here is Ryan.
Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm a full-time reseller specializing mostly in vintage books. I've been reselling full-time since 2019. After a long career in retail management, I was ready for something different. So that's what I do now, selling on eBay, Etsy, Mercari, and whatnot, pretty much in that order. And I have the Galaxy CDs, Rocks, and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. It's on YouTube and wherever you might listen to podcasts. I do generally 2 shows a week. One is kind of a reselling news recap and a what sold segment. And then Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. Eastern, I do a kind of a live, just a reseller chat. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Perfect. All right. So we are going to go ahead and get to your questions. And the first one is by Pink Pain. Says, what is the best way to cross list to Bonanza? Is it possible and list perfectly? I'm going to grab this one and just answer it, because all you have to do is go in and just link. It's like a one-time link between Bonanza and eBay, and it will link your eBay store to your Bonanza. It'll load all your items and it will end them automatically on eBay. But if you get a Bonanza sale and you cross post, you do need to end them on the other platforms, because it doesn't do that. It does end it on eBay, but it doesn't end it on your other platforms. But the linking, like, you don't have to cross post anything. You just go in, sign in, give them permission to pull from your eBay, and it's automatically done. So super easy.
Just like that, one thing is also too, you have to pay when you receive payments through PayPal. Make sure you go into your PayPal and you activate the buyer protection on your account.
Yeah.
Because me and Kat got burned not doing that in the past, and someone tried to file a credit card dispute, and so they do that. You can actually, there's a thing in PayPal you need to activate. So make sure you do that. And also, how much does the Commonwealth Picker pay you to ask that question? We all know he owns Bonanza. So I'm just curious how many 20s he slipped you to ask that question.
Oh, yeah. I should point out to you guys, Yvon is who made the Kevin super chat.
Uh-oh.
Yvon is the question of Kevin the Mermaid.
Kevin says I'm dead to him now.
Yvon, how many times, how long did it take you to make that? Because I can just picture you sitting there just laughing hysterically the entire time you made that. You just probably took like an hour to make that, because you're just laughing the entire time.
I'm pretty good at it, and I admit now I have an app where I could make it even better, more streamlined. But I wanted to make sure that it was obvious that wasn't Kevin's body, because I didn't want to push the envelope too far with Kevin. I like Kevin, but Rod, when I found that pineapple emoji that winks, I was like, oh my gosh, that's everything. Because
Oh my
I don't know if everybody knows, but he gets teased a lot over on, Trash to Cash. He gets teased a lot about what pineapple signifies to some people. So that was like an Easter egg joke.
Upside down pineapple.
Upside down pineapple, yeah.
Yes. So for those that don't know, so
So if
Google
you know.
All right. My good friend Elena, Treasure Diva Thrifts, oh gosh, says, what do you prefer, live selling or stagnant selling, and why?
Oh gosh, no, I like it all. I like it. I like both of them. Now, again, I'm not going to harp on my surgeries, but if you guys don't know me, 2024 tossed me around like a rag doll so much. 2 surgeries, another death in the family, and this one was very painful. I'm still trying to get over. Might have to do therapy. So I've just now come back to work, but I do have a Whatnot account. I do have some district seller accounts, and I'll eventually wander my way back over there. But I do live sales on my YouTube channel. I like it all, and then eBay and Poshmark and 2 booths. Yes, 2 booths at a local mall, all for different reasons,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've only been dabbling on Whatnot since October, so it's still fairly new to me. It's a different. I like the community and the interaction, kind of like doing the lives on YouTube, where you get people that are, talking to you in the chat. So that's a different. Like, let's face it, reselling can be kind of a lonely task. I'm sitting in my basement by myself for 8 hours doing listings on eBay or whatever. So that's a nice outlet to like actually interact with some people. It's a minuscule portion of my sales. So from that standpoint, I would have to say I prefer just static selling, listing things on eBay and Etsy, Mercari, and just letting them sell 24/7, 365, and not having to take really a lot more action once they're listed and up.
it's funny is every time I see this question, people always think it has to be either or. It's not. It's both. Okay, you do both your business, and you will maximize your profits. For me, I list my higher end items or my big collectibles. I'll put them up as stack listings because I can just list and forget. But with the live selling, one, it keeps cash flow coming into my business because I'll take the fast nickel over the slow dime all day long, because in the long run you can make more money with just a quick flip, turnaround, quick flip. So it's nice to not having inventory sit around. And when I get a big buy, now I know, like when I go buy now, it's just completely changed how I source, because when I'm out sourcing, I'm like, I could sell that live selling, something I would never have bought previously, because I have that option now. So one is give me a lot more options. 2, it has expanded what I can actually source. So I think that, and has actually has opened my eyes to other things that I normally wouldn't even looked at. And now I'm finding more higher end items in those categories that I can now list on my static, on my static listings compared to my live selling. So it's never, I wouldn't say don't try to do either or. It's always, you need to do both, because that's the best way to maximize your profits with your business.
Yeah. So as far as preference, and I don't think she's asking like if it has to be either or, but like preference wise, stagnant selling, because like Ryan said, once you list it, it's listed and it's done, and then it kind of runs itself until it sells and you have to ship it. So for me, like this week, we're going down to South Florida. The kids are on spring break. Me and my sister are taking my niece and Dalton down there. And I don't have to worry. Like if I was only live selling, I would have to either A, skip it all, or B, bring stuff with me to sell, which would be a pain in the butt. I have done that though. I have sold from like hotels at events that I went to. Like I sold a ton of jewelry I picked up at Renninger's at the antique fair, and I sold it in my hotel room that night. So that, like Rod was saying, it's a fast nickel. You're not going to get as much as you're going to get on eBay, Posh, Mercari, but you get it a lot faster. It sells right then. It sells the same day, as long as you're starting it at a good price. So I prefer stagnant if I had to pick one, and I have picked one over the last 6 months, that's all we've been doing. We just started doing live selling again. We're not doing it this week because of spring break. We were out on the boat today, and then tomorrow we're leaving to go down south. But next week we will pick up on Whatnot and be back and be selling there. And yeah, so my preference is stagnant. And I make, it's hard, guys. It's hard. I made in 22 and 23, I made $250,000 in sales on Whatnot. But at the end of 23, I was losing money for about the last 3 to 4 months. So like those numbers, yeah, it looks great that I sold that much, but that's not profit. And so when I started losing money on stuff, like if I would start it, even at what I paid for it, stuff wasn't selling. And that's when I went back to eBay primarily, because I was ignoring eBay for a long time. And so my eBay, it's hard to do both well, in my opinion. It's that almost like the work-life balance, right? Like you gotta find a good medium for you and what works. And whether that's 1 show a week or 2 shows a week, if anybody knows me, I'm like all or nothing. So I had to do 5 shows a week because I go all in. If you know me, I go all in. And that's just not realistic with keeping up the stagnant sales too. Not in my opinion. I'm sure some people do it, but me, even with having employees, I can't do 5 sales a week and maintain eBay at a good rate. Oh, I forgot Ryan's initiation. I forgot it. All right. Marsha sent $5 just to initiate Ryan. And if you're wondering to what, you're going to see here in 2 seconds. And again, this was made by the lovely lady below me. So here you go.
Yikes.
But you didn't need that in your life, huh?
I gotta go.
Yeah. Just think,
see you later.
When you go to bed tonight, you won't be able to unsee that. Just letting you know. It's going to be burned in the back of your mind. I apologize in advance.
Kevin's pineapple butt.
Do you not realize that Yvonne insulted Kevin without even noticing it, that she did that? She's like, yeah, I had to find a body that I can tell definitely wasn't Kevin's. I was like, no. I just realized that when I was watching that. I was like, oh, she's right. Definitely not it.
No, I just didn't want to get in trouble. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oops.
Noreen wants to know, do you think Chinese wholesalers on TikToks will have an effect on reselling?
Okay. Under what scenario? We can't even possibly begin to figure that out at this current date. I'm not going to get political. I'm just going to say, I will say this. I'll get a little crunchy. I hope TikTok goes away. I really do. So there, just pass.
I broke down and got on TikTok finally about 6 months ago. I'm not really a big fan either. I personally don't think so, unless you happen to be selling the exact same stuff that the Chinese knockoffs are competing with. I think that's probably a problem more even on Etsy than it is anywhere else, where you've got the knockoff and the counterfeit stuff. So if you're selling that same thing, yeah. But if you're selling stuff you picked up at an estate sale, one-off type stuff, other than maybe taking some money out of the market, I don't think these sellers will have any impact.
Alibaba, Amazon, flea markets, Temu, Shein. We've been dealing with this for years upon years upon years. It's not going to have the effect you guys think on reselling. You may find some cool products, make some affiliate money, if you get a TikTok shop and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to have the impact that you think it may have.
Yeah. And I mean, it's crazy. I've just recently, I would say like the last 3 months or so, I have noticed that stuff coming into the thrift stores. Like there's a lot of Shein stuff in the thrift stores, like stuff that looks vintage. And I'm like, oh, a vintage. Oh, it's Shein. Like, and I mean, I go to it like every single time. And then I'm like, what the? I don't pick it up. I agree with Ryan. As long as you're not selling like the same type of things, I don't think it's going to affect you. Like if you're doing, vintage, if you're doing one-off, I don't think I bought from them. I was very tempted. Somebody had gemstones and they were doing like scoops of gemstones out of this giant tub. And it was so cool. Like like different quartz, and it was just really cool. I almost bought from them. I don't remember who, but I know that like somebody in like our circle is selling on TikTok. So I mean that might be an avenue to sell on, possibly. But I'm already overwhelmed with what I have, so I'm not trying to add anything else into it. So if you sold on there, let us know. Because I'm interested to know if like the stuff that at least that I typically do, like Rod, I bet your cards and stuff would do good on TikTok, right?
So they actually do have people that do breaks on TikTok, and they do sell cards and other things like that. So that is an option for some people. I think you have to remember the demographic that's on TikTok. It's primarily going to be a younger demographic. So I would say the stuff that's going to be more appealing to them are going to be, more or less the collectibles like Jordans, Pokemon cards, Minecraft, video game stuff. Like that's going to be more suited for the demographic. Even though that is worldwide, there's other people on there, but it's primarily going to be a younger demographic compared to say like a YouTube or Facebook or these other social media platforms.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Wendy wants to know, what are your best selling categories right now?
Oh, well, because of the way I operate, like I'll be real passionate about something for a while, and then it seems like the law of attraction kicks in, and all of a sudden that's all I find. It's really strange. So it just tends to oscillate depending on how much attention I'm giving to a certain category. Okay, so right now, since I have come back to doing, let's say, my live sales, I would say vintage glass. And I think I just sold a piece on eBay. We're working it out right now. I am moving into jewelry, so I'm hoping that might be a really good category for me as I pay attention to it, pay my dues of learning, and try to build it up. So take into context of what I like, and vintage glass, I guess, is still, and pottery is still holding pretty strong. Within that category, some things kind of shift a little bit. It was fairy lights, and then it was swung vases. Now for that, I pay attention to the influencers on Instagram and the home decor influencers, other larger sellers within our little social circle community. What are they pushing out? Because some of them tend to be able to influence a trend themselves, even though, in general, we're just kind of a small niche on YouTube, but some of them are able to kind of help. I'll give you an example, like Raku. I feel like I've really got, the people that come to see me, they really like Raku now, and they want a piece. Everybody that comes to see me all the time has a piece. Let's see. Let's take Kate, Follow That Bug. Her and her bangles. Oh my gosh. Her and her bangles. So I can only speak for girls because that's mostly what I watch, but I don't know. Kat with her Navajo or American Indian silver jewelry, so it depends on who all you interact with and where you're getting your customer base from.
About 75% of my current inventory is books. So books are my my best category and have been for probably the last 4 years. I do sell quite a few CDs. I did a big like 8,300 CD bulk buy a couple of summers ago. So I'm still consistently selling those, and that's a category that's made a bit of a comeback, as did vinyl and as did cassettes. So that's a category that I will probably be paying a little more attention to going forward. But for me, it's all been media.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of media because I think everyone should learn media, because anytime you go to a garage sale, it doesn't matter if it's 8 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to find books, CDs, DVDs, VHS, cassette tapes. People leave the media behind. So I clean up on media. It's something that I pick up a lot, especially in the later parts of the day. So that's always been a good category for me. Video games has always been a good category. Comic books, just because I buy those in bulk and I buy out collections. Sports cards is probably the best selling category for me because I do a lot of live selling with sports cards. And then probably the last one would be clothing, because I do a lot of live shows on Dibit Threads, selling live clothing, and then also sell vintage clothing on eBay.
Yeah, I was just looking through, and honestly, it's not a ton of like any one category. It's all over the place for me. So it a lot of clothes, but it's not like any particular genre of clothes. It's all over the place. It's Hawaiian shirts, then Free People pants. It like we sold floaties, so your summer stuff's gonna start selling. I sold a couple of fairy lamps, Harley backpack. It literally is all over the place. But I agree with Yvonne. Thank you all for my curl comments. These are my natural curls. I never do my natural curls. These are all mine. And I just got a product to put in it, and this is the result. I'm happy with it. I'm impressed with my own curls. So I think what you're into and what you're listing the most of is what's going to sell. Like I've been listing a ton of jewelry, so jewelry is going to sell. I sold a sterling silver pocket watch. Chain, and it sold in an hour. So it definitely depends on what you're listing the most of. You guys are going to I'm glad I have all this makeup on because I'm blushing and you can't see. So thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. All right. Now that you've distracted me, the Flipping Brit. Hi, Mandy. Mandy says, hello, lovely people. I have some hankies to try and sell. Can I use eBay standard envelope? And if so, what size are they and where to buy? Or can I use just a regular letter envelope and buy postage on eBay?
eBay standard envelope. Well, whatever's the most affordable. You mean like a little poly mailer or something? Or a little.
I'm hoping Rod can help us with this because I don't know anything about this.
Like, I guess you can use a regular envelope, and I'm confused by the question. If there's something I'm missing, just anything that you think will get it there safely and that will help keep shipping costs down. It doesn't have to be an eBay branded envelope if that's what you mean. Let me pass it on. Maybe I don't understand that question.
Yeah, my impression was that the eBay standard envelope deal was limited to some categories. Rod may be able to speak better to that than I. If you can use that and you think they'll get there safely, I wouldn't have any problem using it, but I would probably lean towards putting it in something a little bit more than a regular envelope, either a poly mailer or a bubble mailer, something like that, just to help protect it. So
I don't know if hankies are on there because it has to deal with like trading cards, coins, currency, stamps, postcards, patches, stickers, decals, greeting cards, seeds. Those are the ones that I do know of. When it comes down to the size of it, it can't be any smaller than 3.5 by 5 inches, and it can't be any bigger than 6 inches, 6 by 6. 6 by 11.5. So, and it can't be more than 3 ounces when you ship. So, if you guys don't know what that is, you can use a regular envelope. It doesn't matter. It just has to meet those requirements. So, you can literally get one, go to Walmart and go to Eckert and buy just a regular envelope like you would ship a letter in or something like that. And you can just stick stuff in that and to mail it out. But how it works is eBay has a special shipping rate for these items. So, when you ship something like 2 ounces, I think it's like, let's say 67 cents. No, wait, it's maybe 97 cents. And then when you ship something 3 ounces, it's only $1.25, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's it. If I'm not mistaken. Because I ship cards through there and it has to be $20 and under the item. So it allows you just a cheap way to ship items. It's actually eBay incorporated just for trading cards at first and then expand to other categories. I just don't know if you can do hankies.
I was going to say, I bet she would almost have to list it in that category because I think it's only a shipping option in those categories.
Correct.
that they allow it in.
Yep.
So what I do is I just do ground advantage. It's $4, but as long as you're charging the buyer, you know, they're paying. Mandy, you're out of luck in the sense that you're not going to get them shipped for $1. You know,
Actually,
even though they're super light.
There is a way. If she puts it, so if she would use a regular envelope, puts like regular stamps on it, and then there's a website that you can go to. I gotta pull it up right now. Ivan from District sent it over to me.
It has tracking.
Yeah, you can actually just go and buy tracking only, and it's so you can actually put regular stamps on and buy the tracking only. I would have to find it and pull it up. And,
she's asking me if I do free shipping model on those. Absolutely not. Those are the ones you really don't want to do it on, in my opinion, because, and like my jewelry. So for all of my light stuff, even though I know it's 4 ounces, and you guys can beat me up all you want about this, I put 8 ounces. I get that extra 50 or 75 cents, and it covers my poly bag or my box if it's a piece of jewelry. So I never put less than 8 ounces, even if it's a 1 ounce item. And then I change it and I keep the extra, whatever, 75 cents or whatever it is to pay for my shipping supplies. Did you find it?
I'm looking right now. I have to go in the District to find it. It's in one of the chats.
Anna,
so.
now I got to write down. Anna's telling me more stuff for my curls. Hold on. I'm getting my pen.
Yeah, something must have happened that I don't know about. I don't even understand what Rod's trying to.
So Yvonne, they made like a really cheap envelope with tracking for sports cards so that they would still be tracked, because if you ship in a regular envelope, you don't have tracking and you couldn't prove that you shipped it. So eBay made an eBay envelope for cards, postcards, things like that. And that way it's tracked and it's really cheap. But
got it. I got it.
Okay, Rod has got the info for you guys.
All right, so there's a website called Letter Track. And if you go to that, you can actually purchase just tracking for your first class stamps, which I didn't know that was literally a thing until Ivan from District told me about it. He's helped me out on Dibbit. And yeah, it's called Letter Track. So if you just Google Letter Track, you can go on there. I think it's like maybe 18 cents or whatever you can buy tracking for your item. Yeah, so Yvonne, they made it just for specific categories on eBay so that people can sell it in quantity. And like, for example, if like a card may be worth only $1, but I'm not going to pay $4 to buy this card. It cost me $5, but someone will pay 67 cents to ship this because you can ship it for that cheap because just the size of it. And then you could ship like 3 or 4 cards for $1.25. So now it's more worth it for people to do that. And then they start expanding to other categories on eBay. So they just make it's pretty much a cost-effective way to ship items, but you have to purchase it directly through eBay. It's broken down by certain category that you sell in. So you can't go to the post office and ask for the eBay standard shipping rate because they won't offer to you. You have to pay the first class fee or use a stamp. So
we just buy that. We just buy that through eBay.
Correct, but it has to be. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat, guys, for you. Hold on one second.
Oh,
Rod's going to put it. Yeah. You guys are giving me all these curl suggestions. What I used was Diva Curls, and it's expensive. Shannon recommended it to me, and then I dried my hair with the I dried and scrunched it. I'm doing this. I did like that with it. Brooke made me do it myself, so I did this. What? She's like, Mom, you're drying your hair. I'm like, okay. Normally she does it. She's tired of my hair because it's so long and it's so thick. She's like, I don't want to do it. Okay. Hollyhock says, do you prefer 7 or 10-day auction to cover 2 weekends?
Oh gosh, I don't think I put that much thought into it. I'm sorry. Okay, and can I add something else too for those of you that aren't familiar with me? I am part-time too, so I never have more than 300 items or so on eBay. Okay, so let me think. So to be smart, I guess I would do 10 days to be smart, unless it. Yeah, I guess to be smart to answer that 10 days. But sometimes there's a reason that I might want to only do a 5-day auction. But anyway, so you didn't ask that. So to be smart, yeah, I would try to work out that start and ending to cover 2 weekends. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, that probably doesn't sound like a bad plan. I only ever do 7-day, but I almost never do auctions. I've got I don't know, 11,300 and some active listings right now on eBay, and one of them is an auction. So I don't do them.
So when I first started on eBay back in 1999, all they had was auctions. So
Right.
that's all we could do back in the day. I rarely use auctions now, but it's funny you asked this question because I actually just put something up for auction last week. I had this very rare Disney, from the Haunted Mansion, the 3 hitchhiking ghosts, like these big statues. There's like limited to like 1,000 of them, and I decided up for $1,200, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to run it at auction, see what happens. So I started at $1, and I started it on a Thursday to be very strategic because I wanted to put it on a 10-day auction, and I wanted to end on a Sunday night. Because what do most people do on a Sunday night between 7 o'clock and 9 p.m.? They're usually just sitting there on their phones, laying in bed, not falling asleep yet, but they have nothing to do because they have to work Monday morning. So I always find that anytime I have a really high-end item, the best time for me to end my auctions is on a Sunday night. And I usually like to hit 2 different weekends. So I start on a Thursday, put a 10-day auction, covers 2 different weekends, and ends on a Sunday night at that prime time moment.
Yeah, so I prefer 10-day if I think about it. So it really depends on how fast I want to get the item up. If I'm planning on doing like a lot of auctions, I did a bunch of amber jewelry. I do it Thursday. If you start it Thursday at like 7 or 8 p.m., it will end the following Sunday at that time. So you are getting the 2 weekend coverage. Now, if I get something amazing on Friday and I can't wait to put it up, I will run it on a 7-day. Or I'll probably would wait till Saturday and run it on a 7-day. So I get, 2 Saturdays, Saturday, Sunday, and another Saturday. But I prefer the 10 days if I think about it. But it depends, do you want to hold it till Thursday? Like if you list it on Sunday, how long do you want to wait to put that auction up?
My auction's up to $550, by the way.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep.
All right. Hyacinth said, what would be an affordable way to ship heavy, large book sets?
Oh, stats like encyclopedia or something. I just try to avoid that from the get-go, from the beginning. But I would guess off the top of my head, I'm going to pass it on, but off the top of my head, that's probably looking like it's going to have to slide over to UPS or FedEx, but I'll let someone else that's smarter than me about that.
Media mail is still, as long as the package is under, I think, 70 pounds, generally speaking, is going to be still the cheapest way because it's the same rate clear across the country. Media mail doesn't have zones. So you can ship it from one coast to the other for the same price. So that's usually what I do. There are some, with all the changes with Ground Advantage, I'm finding there are some weights now that sometimes Ground Advantage is actually cheaper than media mail. So it pays to look. There's unfortunately, like most things, there's no one right answer. But by and large, on bigger, heavier packages, media mail is still probably the way to go.
Yeah, I would say majority of the time when I do ship out big books or like lots of books, they're going to be shipped media mail. But Ryan is right. Recently, with all the changes with Ground Advantage, if you're shipping to one of the zones that's closer to you, it's actually cheaper. I shipped a 12-pound package the other day, and it was all books, and it was actually cheaper to ship Ground Advantage by $3.48 because it was shipping close by me. I think it was shipping for like Florida to Georgia. So because of that, it was actually really cheap to ship it, which I was shocked. I always thought media mail was going to be the absolute cheapest. So one of the things, if you're doing selling on eBay, when you go to do the drop down, it actually just shows you Ground Advantage or show you media mail if you do it from a computer, and you can actually just see the difference right off the bat.
Yeah, and I remember, I think it was last year, Katie Reeds, I'm good friends with her. She posted like, wow, for the first time ever, Ground Advantage is cheaper than media mail. So I would say set it up as media mail with a secondary of Ground Advantage. Let the buyer pick. Because it's going to depend on weight. It's going to depend on where you're at and where they're at. I am in the corner of the U.S. I am down here. Rod is too. We're down here in the bottom corner. So unfortunately, either one of those to Cali or Washington State are going to be super expensive. So I would put both of those as options on that listing. Miss BB wants to know, how does old and or cheap inventory negatively affect a store?
I'm talking to eBay store. I'm assuming
That's what I would assume.
Store. You know, there's so much controversy over this. We can only guess or extrapolate what eBay's algorithm is. Okay, we can figure that out really no more better than like YouTube or Instagram. But some people will say on your older listings, you know, take them down, relist them, whatever, tweak them. Some people are like, list it and forget it. I don't know. I never keep more than 300 items, and I think right now I only have like 80. I tend to be a list it and forget it. The item that I'm working with now, well, because I sell unique items. Oh yeah, let me say that. Let me add a caveat here. I sell unique items, right? Now, I think there's different rules that apply if you're like, you know, replenishables and, you know, things like that, household items, whatever, you know, that you have maybe more competition and stuff. I think there's different rules that apply. But like for me, the item that I'm working with now, this vintage art glass, gosh, it's been up for 3 years. But, you know, it's a unique piece. So I would probably need to give you a clear-cut answer. I would need a little bit more information. So we'll see what other people say.
That's another one. I don't think there's a right answer. I'm not sure eBay could even give you one. I had somebody reach out to me a couple of weeks ago that had been watching a show from Don, the auction professor, where multiple eBay reps had told him that listings over 2 years, eBay automatically deleted. And I went into my listings and I've got stuff that's 5.5 years old that's still up and active, and stuff that I'm still selling at that age. And I've not noticed like any impact on my store for having all that old stuff there. I do run sales every month on older kind of aged inventory to try to keep it active, but I can't say personally I've seen any kind of negative impact from having older items in my store. Media is can be a long tail, long wait category anyway. You're looking for one buyer on one particular book. It may sit there a while. So I don't have any problem leaving stuff sit.
I think it possibly can have negative impact on your store because you're having items in there is going to hurt your sell-through rate of your store from a business standpoint. I also think it's going to weigh it down because you're going to have a bunch of stuff that people are going to, if people click on your other items to see what else you're selling, if you have a bunch of junk in there, I'm not going to sit there and look through your store if I see a bunch of cheap or a bunch of junk in there. So I think presentation is big, especially with their stores. I have a lot of stuff in my store that I'm trying to, get rid of because it is old inventory and it's stale. And I think that it's hurting me more than it's helping me. So, I mean, I don't have the, proof from eBay saying that this is exactly what it is. I just feel like it does. And also too, you're tying up your money, you're tying up space. So at the end of the day, like you want to move that stuff, either donate it or you want to discount it down or you want to keep the cash flow coming through. So you want to move that old stuff as fast as possible.
I'm watching Dalton stick his foot up in my camera space there. He's watching it too. He's on spring break, so he's allowed in here tonight. He doesn't have to go to bed. And he likes to be silly back there.
What did Rod do?
Rod's back. Rod, you're in
right here.
Rod, why'd you make your screen?
Where did he go?
I just put hide and go seek. You win.
So we've talked about this, but not necessarily in this regard. So Rod, if you remember, like we talked about, like I have over 10,000 people that follow my eBay store.
Yes.
They constantly are looking, they're constantly clicking, and they're constantly not buying. And I am okay with that. That is what happens when you put yourself out there, you put yourself on social media. But what that does is make eBay think that all these people are looking at my stuff and nobody wants to buy it. And I do think that really negatively impacts those of us on social media that have that following. They're clicking in, they're not buying. My click-through rate and my sell-through from clicks is horrible because of that.
Okay.
And this is the same thing, though. If you have crappy inventory, like older, it's not necessarily crappy. It could be crappy. If you put crappy stuff up, people aren't going to buy it, right? Like they're not going to buy it. So it's the same thing. You have this whole store full of cheap stuff, is how you said it. Cheap stuff. Nobody wants it. It's going to make it look like nobody wants your stuff, which I think we don't know. We don't know the eBay algorithm. We don't know 100% what the heck is happening. But I just sold something last week that I had 4 years for $100. It still sells. It sells, and I do end and sell similar. So none of my listings to eBay are necessarily that old, but I know because I put in the SKU when I originally listed the item, and 4 years. But I think if you put up a bunch of crap, like cheap crap that is not worth having on there, I think that it would negatively, I wouldn't put up cheap crap just to get numbers up is what I'm trying to say. Sorry, Rod. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you a question. I mean, because since even people that promote their stuff at a higher, like even at a high percentage, even if it's cheap junk, you're still getting a lot of clicks and no one's buying. I was going to say something there, but now I forget what I was going to add to that. It'll come to me in a second. I don't know. Drew a blank.
Yeah, it's hard. Like everybody's looking at it, they're looking at it, they're clicking it, they're not buying it. Some people buy. I'm not saying nobody buys. Some people buy.
I was going to say is think of it this way. eBay wouldn't give us these analytics and give you that information in there if it didn't mean something. So eBay is, they put all those, they put the sale number information in there. They put down, what your sell-through rate is. They're putting down your late shipments, but they're letting you know your click-through rate and how many times people are clicking, how many times people are buying. So that means something. So if they're tracking that, absolutely, I would take that in consideration with your store.
Right, for sure. All right, we have got 2 super chats. Oh, There's another one before it.
Okay.
Texas Resell Queen sent $4.99 super chat and said, "Hey Kat, 20-year current nurse here. Thanks for being my unofficial resell preceptor. I've learned more from you than any eBay CEU. Bravo." Thank you so much. I'm so happy to help. That's why all of us are here. We love helping you guys learn, and that's exactly why we do what we do. So super happy to hear that. I'm gonna give you my whale. Here you go. All right, let's see. Next is Wolfman's Goodies. Here we go. Are you ready for the dad jokes? What did one snowman say to the other one? Do you smell carrots?
Nicely played. Nicely played.
Nicely played. Since Yvonne's here, I'm going to play Yvonne's Mermaids. Here you go. Yay. Yvonne made that one too. For Yvonne, so what, 2 years? Has it been 2.5 years? 2? I don't know.
For what, babe?
Since you guys, so Rod and I were in Phoenix. We were both speaking at Camp Listing Party. And so Yvonne, Jocelyn, Lindy Glenn, was it George?
When I got to host your,
yeah. So they ran the show for us. We were not here, and Yvonne ran the show for me. That's what that mermaid super chat is from. Is from when Yvonne covered for us because we were speaking in Phoenix.
She let me pick the guests and everything. So I asked Jocelyn, I asked my good friend Lindy Glenn, and then Dom, Primetime Treasure Hunter, for the co-host. It was great. Thank you for that, Kat. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good show. I appreciate you. All right. Buckeyes for Thrifting says, how do you handle situations when you know a buyer is scamming you? For instance, an INAD for a high-priced item shipped overseas that will put you $100 in the hole to pay return shipping.
I just have not been in that scenario. Again, I'm part-time. I've never had more than 300 items. I sell unique items. I've never been in that situation. Let's see. How do I handle? Okay, we're talking eBay, right? Because INAD. Okay, eBay. I don't know. Try your best to see no, that's not going to work because eBay tends to want to. I was going to say check your description, check your pictures, ask them to more clarification on why. But in the end, eBay typically, unless it's something you can really prove, typically they side with the buyer. So let me pass. Someone else might have a better idea.
Yeah, there's eBay 99.9% of the time is probably going to side with the buyer. It's why for international, I only use the eBay International Shipping Program, because once it gets to their center, if there's a claim like that, eBay is handling it. I'm not messing with it. So to be fair, I've had, I think, 15 returns in the last year. So I'm not dealing with that type of thing very often. But using that program is one way to help protect yourself, because they will intervene, and they seem to treat their own money a little more carefully than ours.
Yeah, I do the same thing for all my international shipping orders. I'm going to go through the eBay Global Shipping Program just because I know I'm going to be protected. Once that item arrives to Chicago and it's going to be shipped out, I'm good to go then. For domestically, though, when you have situations like this, especially if it's like a high dollar, there's things that you can do. You can contact eBay and fill out they'll send you like an affidavit to fill out, and you can go through that process. And I think they will give you like one or two courtesies where eBay will take you on the chin, and they'll let the buyer keep the item and give the buyer a refund, and then they'll also provide you a refund. Unfortunately, it's not the answer that you want, because you want the scammer to be caught and not be put in there. But for eBay, I think it's just more of a hassle for them to go through all the different steps and process to do it. It's the easiest way for them to do business. Unfortunately, I hate to say that.
But Rod, if they file an INAD, that's not covered under global shipping.
What?
It's not.
I'm pretty sure that it's not.
Because they would have to.
I had a sale go global. They did an INAD. And eBay was telling me I had to pay for the label. And so I told the people, because it was a brand new, like it was a dog shot collar, but it was like $150 collar. And I said, it has to come back to me exactly like it was in the original box, or I will be filing a discrepancy. And they ended up backing out, and they're like, hey, never mind. So I got saved on that one. But can anybody tell us for sure? Has anybody had an INAD that eBay covered on global shipping?
Because when you, like, for example, if I had an item that the buyer wouldn't return, or if I had an item that was damaged in shipping, eBay handles that, and they have the item shipped to maybe the eBay warehouse, stuff like that. So I just assume they do the same thing for the INAD, and you'd be fine on that. But I guess not. So if I would have to ship it, yeah, that's an interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to know the truth on that myself.
Yeah, somebody let us know in the chat.
It sucks because, like, unscrupulous people, like, they spread no, I'm not even gonna say it out loud here. I'm not even gonna add to it. Never mind, cancel what I was gonna say, because I'm not even gonna add to spreading that tip rumor. Next question.
Next. Whoa. That is kind of high. Dalton asked me to light a candle in the flames.
Very high.
Anna is asking me, where am I going in South Florida? She said she lives in Delray Beach. Is Delray East or West Coast? We're going West Coast. We are on the Gulf as well. And we are going to be going down through Venice. We're going to stop in Venice and let the kids hunt shark's teeth, because you always find a ton of shark's teeth in Venice. And then we're going to be staying in Cape Coral. We got an Airbnb in Cape Coral, and we're going to be going to Sanibel Island to go shelling the 2 days is what we're doing. Marcia has a question for Yvon. Do you know how to tell if a swung vase, do you know how to tell a swung vase is Viking if it isn't marked?
Well, a lot of Vikings aren't marked. They might, some of them would have that, like, what is it, gold and clear little label with a Viking ship and maybe say Viking, but most of them aren't really marked or birthmarked like the newer Fenton is birthmarked. So I rely, well, first of all, you can kind of, if you're familiar, you kind of can tell by the color and the feel of it. Viking feels so good. Oh my gosh, the glass if you feel it, you'll just know what I'm talking about. I love Viking. Sorry, I love Viking and Fostoria, so I'm getting all excited. Other than that, I rely for verification on going to the internet. Viking has lots of charts. Some people have been so great to add like some of their older catalog or advertisements. To look up. There's a lot of groups that you can use to verify. But am I wrong? Most Viking doesn't have a birthmark or a.
I don't think most Viking is marked.
But there's a color palette that you get very familiar with.
Yeah, and like the patterns and all of that they use.
Marcia, you can send me a picture. I'll try to help you. Send it to me on Instagram or whatever. I'll try to help you.
Gino's asking, do I have a tan? Like this, I'm pretty white, Gino. I mean, I'm getting a little darker. I am going out in the sun a lot. We went out on the boat Sunday but this is tanner. This is like a tomato under the makeup. I'm not going to lie. I got sunburnt. So I look like a tomato under here. You just can't see it. But yes, this has gotten more tan. My face is burning. Vintage Vibes says, per Google AI, yes. eBay international shipping generally covers INAD claims. Oh, nice. Meaning the seller is protected and eBay handles the return.
Yeah, I thought
that is good to know. Thank you for looking that up for us.
Thank you so much. I mean, unless there's gross negligence, I'm sure, but none of us do that. Thank you. That's good to know. That was scary for a minute there.
All right. Miss Rose says 500 lists. She has 500 listings, but things are moving slowly. I'm thinking about downsizing and maybe taking some items to a local auction. When do you usually reconsider or remove a listing? How long do you wait?
Typically, I'm a list it and forget it type person. I'm old school. I follow one of the original YouTube sellers. They're not even on here anymore. There are archived Scavenger Life. I don't know if anybody here remembers Scavenger Life. That was way in the beginning of us all. And I'm, usually I'm careful about what goes in my booth, what goes, into a live sale, what goes on eBay. So typically it's a list it and forget it type of situation. Every once in a while, I might pull something for a live sale. If I had something, I'm like, oh, this is trending now. Let me go pull this off of eBay and take it to one of my live YouTube sales. Okay, but there was something else I'm going to say. And you're thinking about as far as a local auction, there's I guess that's valid, but are you able to have like a yard sale or a garage sale? Because I would do that first before I would split any of my money, because I'm already probably going to sell cheaper if I'm at that point. So before I share what little profit I'm probably going to make on dead items, I'm going to try a yard sale probably first.
Yeah, I don't take listings down. Like I said, I pulled up my listings the other day and I found some listings that I first put up when I first started dabbling in this back in August of 2019 that are still up there. I do promoted listings. I run sales every month. I do coupons occasionally. So I'm doing other things to try to generate some activity rather than taking things down. Again, everybody gets to run their business the way they see fit. A lot of folks I know will, if something's been up for a year, they're done. They'll take it down, donate it, put it at a garage sale, do something different with it, and try to get some cash out of it and move on to the next thing. I'm lucky enough that most of my stuff I've bought like in bulk buys. So I'm into them for 25 or 50 cents, and the money is long since made through other sales. So that stuff it's not really costing me anything other than some space. So again, I don't mind to sit on them and wait it out.
Yeah. So for me, I will try everything possible to get those items sold. I'll end sell similar. I'll run sales, discount sales, depending on how long the items actually list in my store. That sale item will be a higher percentage. Maybe after 30 days, be 10%. After 60 days, 20%. After 90 days, 25, 30%, just to try to move those items. And, I would recommend, like Yvonne talked about running a flea, going to, or actually putting on a garage sale. That's one option. Taking your items to a local flea market. I will warn you, though, if you never dealt with an auction house before, I've dealt with auction houses many times and taken items there to locally ones. you have to make sure that you know your audience there, because there's certain items that you think may be valuable and they will not sell at that local auction house. So be very careful. Number two, your local auction house is going to take, on average, anywhere from 25 to 40% is average for a local auction house. So just keep that in mind. Thirdly, you can negotiate that rate. So if you go there and say, hey, I have all this stuff to bring in, I can't pay that much. It is my first time. Maybe see how it goes. Maybe they'll negotiate down to 25% or something else, or 20%. Don't be afraid to ask for a discounted rate there. Everything is negotiable. But I would say just be very careful. And I've taken stuff to an auction house that was worth hundreds of dollars and it sold for $15. It is what it is. I've taken items there that were $10 and sold for $50, just because it is what it is, because people get FOMO. So you have to know your local audience.
Yeah. So I have only once bulk taken down a lot of listings. And that was, I think, like a year and a half ago. I took down all my DVDs because I'd had them 2.5 years. They were like $5 to $9. And I, at that point, wanted to decrease my inventory. I still would like to. I just have been horrible about doing it. So I took down the DVDs. Most of them I gave away. I had made a ton of profit off of that buy. They were in my house when I had moved all of my inventory out of my house. They were like the last thing that was in the house. So I wanted them out of the house and I just pulled them all down. With that said, I told you, I just sold something for $100 last week. I've had 4 years. So I do not typically ever consider removing a listing because I put the work in, I took the pictures, I photographed it, I have the space. Mm-hmm. So I think space is something that's really, really key when we're talking about this. And like most people know, I have multiple sheds. I have another house that I use for inventory. I don't have any shortage of space to store things. So for me, that's not a consideration. Now, if you're doing this out of your garage, space is going to be more of a consideration for you. So I think you really need to look at your own situation. I know some people remove stuff at 6 months. They say, let it go. I think Jay Ride is like, peace out if he doesn't sell stuff fast. I don't know if Jake's in the chat. So I send offers. I increase the offers depending on how long they've been listed. And I do 10% off the first 3 months. From 4 months to a year, I do 30%. And after a year, I do 50%. Those are the offers I send out. And occasionally stuff that's over a year, I will run a 40% off sale. And the reason I do 40, not 50, is so I have room to send them a 10% off offer still and give them an additional. So that's what I do. But I think you need to figure out what's working for you. And when you say slowly, I wonder what you mean, because I know a lot of people that are new, like expect stuff to like fly off the shelves. And that's really just not what happens unless you're really, really paying attention to sell-through rate and only buying stuff with 100% or more sell-through rate. So be very cognizant of that and know that it can take a while. If you have the room, I say leave it.
Let me, I see a lot of you guys chatting about this in the chat over here. YouTube just made an update to YouTube across the board. They're rolling out ads in live shows. They're rolling out ads. They're placing ads in your own videos now. It's not rolled out for everyone yet, depending on where you are on YouTube. They have gone back to all your old videos and replaced additional ads to all your old videos. They are translating. I just got a notification today that my videos are being translated to other languages now. So they're making all these different changes right now. So I know you guys are getting a bunch of ads there. We have no control over this during the live. Just to let you know, it's nothing that we're doing in here. It's an update from YouTube that they're doing it. I think they're really trying to increase the amount of ads to try to push people to buy the YouTube Premium that you don't get ads. So I can't confirm that or anything like that. I'm just saying that's what it seems is happening, because I notice all the additional ads being placed in my videos as we speak.
Yeah, they went back and like all your videos, like even like 4-year-old videos, and placed more ads.
Your very first video, they went back and placed ads in.
Nobody's watching that unless they're laughing at me. Ha ha ha.
But
And
We
that's
should,
entertaining.
we should
Guys
do
are bored.
we should do a watch along here and go back and watch your first video, watch my first video, and how horrible
Oh,
it really
no,
is.
no.
It'd be
I
like
left mine up just for
mi-
inspiration for
Mine's
y'all.
still up. I left
Mystery
mine up.
Science. What is it? Mystery Science 3000 or whatever. They like watch movies and they just like talk trash the entire time. Like,
We'll have a watch party.
I knocked over my mic. I mean, it's a hot mess. I left it up.
Y'all
on
made
purpose.
her so frazzled.
Yeah.
Now.
So you guys could be like, see, this is what it looks like when you first start. Don't worry. It's okay.
Mine was this way. Mine was vertical instead of horizontal.
So
That's like the epic like rookie mistake is doing it this way instead. Now if it's a short, you want to do it this way, but all right.
This was before shorts, yeah.
Yeah, there weren't shorts. So my first video was in 2019, almost 6 years ago. Yours was longer too, Yvonne, wasn't it? You've been doing it longer than 6 years, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Veronica says, what advice would you give someone that's getting back in it after almost 4 years? She said she was the cherry picker.
Okay, I think I remember you. I seriously think I do. From Craigslist Hunter and Golden Finger Picker shows. I think cherry picker. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. Now, are you talking about getting back into just reselling in general, or?
I was wondering
eBay?
about reselling or YouTube.
Oh yeah, I see. Okay, I'll just pick one for you. Okay, I don't know. I'll just pick one. It's to say reselling in general. Things have changed. If you source from the thrift stores, prices are going up. A lot of the chains are.
she said reselling.
Reselling.
Okay, so as far as sourcing, things have changed. You know, thrift stores are raising their prices. Some of them are cherry picking for their own websites or their own eBay accounts. On the plus side, though, garage, everybody's doing it now because the phone makes it so easy for everyone. But on the plus side, also what's happened is places like Whatnot. Let's see, that's not 4 years yet. Like Whatnot. Whatnot's interesting. Now, I'm not going to say I love selling on Whatnot yet. I'm not going to say that because I haven't built up like some of my friends have. But for buying and sourcing, woo, girl. and sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes I do feel bad, but I'm like, whatever. Everyone learns at their own pace. But sometimes you can source some really good deals over on Whatnot. So some things are not so good anymore, but then there's some new stuff going on. So I would say also really having a social media of some type, even if it's just Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, kind of helps. It helps everybody, even if you don't want to have a YouTube channel, which is helpful for reselling. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll let somebody else add things.
Yeah, my advice would be the same as for somebody who is just starting completely from scratch. Is just kind of decide what kind of niche you want to be in and what you know and maybe what you have already. Like when I started back in 2019, I owned a CD store and I had a lot of CDs in my basement from when I closed that store, and that was inventory that I could start with. So if you've still got stuff maybe from 4 years ago when you were doing it before, start with that stuff. Spend some time, looking at the platforms. Look at what eBay looks like today versus what it looked like 4 years ago versus what it looked like a year ago even. Spend some time watching Whatnot auctions, get into Etsy. I mean, I don't know what kind of category you're looking to sell in, but there may be more platforms now available than there were then. You've got Depop and Poshmark, and there's so many more options. And find the one that best fits what you want to do. And then I would probably start with one platform and kind of master that, learn what their algorithm is looking for, learn what they want from photos and descriptions and that sort of stuff before you start trying to expand into multiple platforms or multiple categories.
Yeah, so I would say it's a great time to be alive. You have more selling options now than you ever had before. So that's great. I would say a couple of things. If I was telling someone that's just getting back into it here, one is adapt and change, because there's a lot of changes that come through here. Do not turn your back on live selling. That doesn't mean you have to be on camera, but keep an open mind to do live selling. You may not be ready for it right off the beginning, but I would say the market is changing where they're going to be going to more of a live selling. Live selling is going to increase more and more, I think, as the years go on. So you might want to start looking at a hybrid model with that. Doesn't mean you have to. Also, I would look into the AI tools for reselling. It's absolutely amazing. I use AI. I use ChatGPT to respond to every single email now. If I need to write titles, descriptions, anything in there, it helps out my business, content wise, everything. So ChatGPT, you need to incorporate that in your business. And I would say, but the basics are still there. Sell through rate, buy. You make your money to buy, not to sell. Those simple dynamics have not changed and will never change, because you want fast selling items and you want to make sure that you buy them at a good price. And so that's going to stay the same. But it's just like riding a bike. You'll be fine. Give it a month or so and you'll be back in the groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say, is just make sure you research, because what was selling 4 years ago might not be what's selling now. So I would just research it. I feel like the core stuff is still really the same. It really hasn't changed much. Shipping is more. So for me, where I used to be okay with like $10 and $15 sales, now I really want to get to like the $25 point. So for me, when I'm sourcing, a lot of the $10 and $15 stuff I'd leave behind unless I can find 2 or 3 of them that I can lot together. And I've been doing that quite a bit. Like scrub tops I get for $1. So if I can find 2 or 3 the same size and same brand, I will pick them up and lot them together. Shipping, I think, is probably the biggest change, because shipping has really increased like in 4 years time. And when I was doing my store reviews last week, one of the things I noticed, and I know me as a buyer, like if I'm looking at an item and the shipping's more than the item, I'm kind of like, that kind of stings a little bit worse. So like the heavier stuff, the glass stuff, I want to see more value in it because of that. If somebody in California buys it, 2-pound rate's close to $20 now. So like a 2-pound glass item, if it's $15, I'm going to charge them $20 for shipping. I'm going to leave it. So I think that would be, other than that, it's like list. I would just jump in and get started. And there is so many different platforms, that have come up, and the live selling, of course, if you have time. I don't know if you're doing it full-time or part-time, but there's definitely a lot of different avenues now that you can take to sell. Yeah. And I see you say you love doing it. Like I used to want to do everything singly because I felt like I got more money out of it. And now I'm like, no, now I'm like, okay, put this together. Like I want to group it together so that I get a higher dollar sale, so that they're looking at like a $40 item versus, 3 $15 items. Look who decided to show up at 911, 911. That is Mr. Mark every single time. Not every time, but most of them. I'm not going to do it, Rod. I'm not going to do it. But here's Rod.
Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
I really want to do it.
Don't you dare. Kat has her little tattoos here, so now she wants to do my flip.
I'll do my octopus for the next super chat. Next super chat's my octopus.
You see, you just want to do it because I said you can't do it. Now you want to do it even more.
I really want it.
I know. I guess you're like biting your lip, like, oh, you son of a gun.
All right. Let's see. Okay. Speaking of heavy items, any tips on shipping a literal bowling ball safely? I've never shipped one, and I have to. Oh gosh, I'm scared. What? Okay, go ahead, Yvon.
I know. I'm just trying to be like, I want to know about this bowling ball, because I swear there are some. Maybe I'm a big baby, but there are some things that I'm like, oh, that's cool, but that's a hard pass, because if it's heavy, if it's not going to go in my boot, it's not going in my cart either. Like, so I want to know what about this bowling ball that you feel like you're going to have fun doing this. But oh my God, it must be a great one. So let me just pass that along.
Yeah, I don't know. You would want, obviously, as heavy duty a box as you can get, but beyond that, I've never shipped anything like that would potentially be fragile and heavy. That's a really unusual piece.
bowling balls can actually sell for pretty good. I've shipped a lot of things over the years. During the pandemic, I was buying dumbbells. I was shipping dumbbells across the country. I made an absolute killing. I would say a couple pieces of advice is one is go to Home Depot or Lowe's and get one of those like thick, heavy duty boxes that they have. They have moving boxes there. You should be able to get one. I would get some thick bubble wrap and paper and line the whole bottom of that box and put it in there and just make it very safe. It should be really easy. I mean, I would just literally wrap that thing in a couple of layers of bubble wrap and just make sure it doesn't move inside. So when you're shipping like dumbbells and stuff that's really heavy, you have to make sure there's no movement inside, because if that ball can slightly move at all, over time, what's going to happen is it's going to crush all that paper bubble wrap and it's going to put a hole through the side of your box. And what I normally do when I ship like dumbbells or like real heavy things like this, I'll put a layer of tape around the outside, the corners of the box, around the outside of the box to give it that extra layer of protection. Because even if it hits the side and puts a puncture hole through there, still has a piece of plastic there holding, gives it extra support.
Oh, wait a minute. Do you see what Sabrina says it is? Okay, well that sounds
It's
cool.
a Budweiser beer bottle and a clear 14-pound bowling ball. Proud owner as of today. You want to hear something really funny? Guess what I listed last week?
A bowling ball with a beer bottle on it?
No beer bottle,
No.
but a swirl bowling ball with a bag, and it's listed, I think, at $100, and I paid like 10.
Yeah.
My plan, Mark says box in a box. I'm not a box in a box fan. I don't do that very often.
If you get a bowling ball bag, put it in a bowling ball bag, put that in the box.
I have the bowling ball bag,
Yeah.
and then we can bubble wrap the bowling ball
Yep.
bag, and then we'll put it in a box. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I just use the you know what would work? So if it's expensive, I would use Instapack. I've not used Instapack in a while because I haven't been picking up a ton of fragile stuff. But if it's expensive, I would buy Instapack. You can get it from Joel, American Bubble Boy. I have a video. Marsha, can you find my Instapack video? If not, I'll find it. I have a video on how to use it. It's really cool. You get to like mush it and then it goes. It's fun. It's fun. And it conforms foam to the bowling ball.
Oh, yeah.
And it would work amazing on a bowling ball.
Wow, I actually found this thing. I don't know if it's theirs, but I found one online. It actually looks really, yeah, let me show you. It's actually really interesting.
Show us.
Is this it here? Here it is. Here's one right there. You see it?
Oh, that is so
super
cool.
cool.
Nice.
250. You need Instapack.
Yeah, dude, look at this thing. Really interesting.
That is
I'll go
really
sell
cool.
that too, Sabrina. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would.
Then they also have bowling pins. They're beer bottles. See those right there? Oh, you can't see them right there. Still my
No,
screen.
you got to switch it.
Yeah, I got to switch it. Hold on. I got to go down. Stop sharing present. Let me screen. And what is the bowling? There we go. Here, look, they have bowling pins as bowling balls. Or Budweiser beer bottles as bowling pins.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
$250.
Those aren't worth as
Bowling
much,
ball.
though. You'd need
No.
like 10 of them for it to be
Yeah.
worth it.
But it is really cool. Now we're tomorrow
That
we're
is
gonna look
cool.
the sell-through rate from this video. The bowling balls, Budweiser bowling balls, and Budweiser bottle pins are gonna go through the roof.
Yeah, lots of tape too. I see your comment. Definitely lots of tape because that's something heavy that's going to go through. But I'm telling you, Instapack is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I didn't think about
Instapack, value of said ball. Black Cat Flips has a question for Ryan. Ryan, what are some tips you can give for getting into books, and what do you look for at estate sales?
So it'd be kind of the same for any category. Going in and doing some research, comp things on site. It depends on what kind of things you want to sell and where you want to sell them. There's, for instance, in my area, most of the competition on books are Amazon FBA sellers. So I'll go into a sale and they're all there scanning all the books with barcodes. So I gravitated towards the vintage books that they can't scan and they're not interested in. And that's a virtually untapped resource, at least in my area. And that's where I've been able to really make some hay. I talk about on my show all the time, categories of books that do real well for me, anything religious, occult, astrology, tarot type stuff, all of that stuff does really well. I do fantastic with old, 20th century, 21st century books. So I gravitated towards the vintage books. And that's where I've been able to really make some hay. I talk about on my show all the time, categories of books that do real well for me, anything religious, occult, astrology, tarot type stuff, all of that stuff does really well. I do fantastic with old like 1920s through 1950s era, like metallurgy and science and physics books, because that stuff hasn't changed. You know, physics is physics. Once they've figured something out, it doesn't really change all that often. So those still do really well. But a lot of it is just research, like you would with any other category. When I go into a sale, you know, I can, now having been doing it for almost 5 years, I can just scan the shelves and have an idea of whether it's a sale I would want to make like a bulk offer on. I'll generally go through and cherry pick out, you know, sometimes as few as 10, sometimes maybe as many as 100 books that I think are really high value that I want to take and make sure I get. And then I'll leave my card and say, hey, when the sale's over, if you want to make a deal on the remainder, I'll come in, I'll pack them up, I'll get them out of here. I'll do that service for you so you don't have to worry about it. And you can end up getting, you know, a lot of really great inventory for 10, 25, 50 cents and really get some good stock. So.
All right. Thrifted Spirit said the Satanic Bible by Levy, $650, 1971, no barcode. Anything weird? Like here, Shane from Curator of the Law says, when buying books, see weird, buy weird. Stuff that's not normal, like, and out of the ordinary. It is stuff that's rare that people are looking for, is what I guess I'm trying to say. I was trying to figure out how to say that.
Right. My first thing, if I hadn't heard of it, if it didn't ring a bell with me, it was worth at least comping to see what it was. And in some cases they turn out to be nothing, but now you know. So you've learned something. So the time was well spent either way.
All right. Flower says, thank you for all the great information. I'm relatively new to reselling, only on Mercari. What are your opinions on offers and how much to counter? And I would say answer this for any platform that you have a buy it now on. What if it's been listed only a short time?
If I get an offer on something that I just listed on, say within, like, you know, that day, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I might have not done my comps right. I might have been, but let's see, offers. Okay, first of all, I'm kind of like Kat. Really don't like to say this out loud, but it is what it is. I'm kind of like Kat. When I'm listing my stuff on eBay, we're talking eBay, I price knowing that I might run a sale next week. I'm going to take offers. People like to haggle, even though it's online. They like to haggle and dicker, as they say. So everything's going up just a little bit, okay, to account for that. So let's see, thoughts on offers. So, and I have best offer. I actually say it in my listing. I have text replacement. I can just hit a couple letters and it pre-populates some stuff for me. And part of that paragraph is best offers answered quickly. I handle on eBay now. I handle it myself. I do not let eBay handle it. I don't do auto accept or auto decline. I don't know what eBay is telling people. I know sometimes when eBay tells us stuff, it's not always the most professional. So like, I don't know what they're telling people when on decline. So I'm going to handle it myself, you know, and I want to add a nice message to kind of make the person like me and maybe want to go back and forth with me, such as what I'm doing right now on this vintage glass. You know, I'm like, I don't just send, you know, back $80. I said, hey, $80. How do you feel about that? I can ship that out very quickly, first thing in the morning. You know, I want to do that. Okay, and if it's only been, yeah, I'm gonna let it ride a little bit. I think somebody help me because I haven't been on for a while. How long do we have? How long does an offer stay open on eBay? Is it 48 hours?
24 to 48 hours, depending on how they send it.
Okay, so we got a little bit of time before we have to answer. But I do say in my listings, all my listings, best offers answered quickly. So I'll let someone else add to it.
I'm the opposite. I don't want to be dealing with people trying to negotiate with me. So I have every listing I do, I set offers and I set a auto decline at a certain amount. So if I've got a book I want to list for $19.99, I'd be willing to sell it for $17. I set that as my auto decline, and then I only am getting the offers that are over the minimum amount that I decided that I was willing to take to begin with. So again, I've got 11,000 listings. I don't want to see a bunch of $1 offers on $50, $60 books. I've got better things to do with my time. So I've got them set up for auto decline. Sometimes people will send me a message, hey, I've sent 4 offers on this thing, and I'll let them know, hey, this is the minimum amount I would take on this. If that's acceptable, I'll send them the offer in that email, and we'll either make a deal or we won't. But I don't want to do that whole like back and forth. And I do offers like right away. I'm not, despite the fact that I have 11,000 listings, I'm not trying to collect this stuff. I want to sell it. So even if it's a new listing, if I put on there $19.99, best offer $17, and 2 hours later somebody offers me $17, I'm going to take it and get my money and get on to the next thing.
There's a saying that pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. You know, it's one of those things where if you try to get every single penny out, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities out there. I do like offers. I actually used to have automatic decline my offers on it. I actually took that off. Part of the reason for that is I negotiate. When I go to yard sales, I want to get a good deal. So when people shop on eBay, why wouldn't they want that same experience? You know, you make your money in the buy, not the sell. So I do have, when I do list my items up there, I do have wiggle room and I do have best offer on there. But for me, if you send me an offer, if I list the item and you send me an offer 1 minute later, I'm probably going to wait for those 24 hours to see if anyone else sends me offers. But more likely, I'm probably going to accept that offer if it's fair and reasonable, because I'll take 80%, of that money today over 100% of nothing tomorrow. This whole, since you're new, the biggest mistake a lot of resellers make is they're inventory rich and cash flow poor. So if someone came up to you and said, hey, we have a buy of a lifetime for $3,000, you can get $40,000 worth of merchandise, and you don't have $3,000 cash, that's a huge miss for your business and stuff like that. So you want to keep the cash flow coming in, coming out. So my biggest thing is I used to try to maximize every single cent out of all my listings. Now I want things to move quick. So if you send me an offer 70%, I'll probably take it. You know what I mean? I want the item to move and get the cash flow going, because I don't want to store my items there. And I've done that in the past, and it's bit me in the butt.
So I also used to have on auto decline, and now I do not. I have 8,000 listings. And the reason for that is like we were talking about earlier, like with so many listings, you're going to have longer tail items. So when I list it today, the lowest I'm willing to take is not the same as if I have that in 4 years.
Yep.
So I could have gotten an offer on that item that I had 4 years and it was auto declined and I never saw it. So I turn those off, and it takes 2 seconds to decline them. Like if they're under 50%, I'm declining. There are rare occasions, though, on higher dollar items that I've had for a very long time that I bought cheap that I will accept less than 50% off, especially on a low sales day to try and kick more sales into gear. So I turned them off too. I think it was Casey, it was Rockstar Flipper talking about it. And he's like, it's a second, right? It's a second to counter a decline. And that time, and I actually lowered the price on some stuff I had for a while. And I lowered it lower than my auto decline was. So eBay flagged me.
That's funny.
Error. So ever since then, I turned it off. And I mean, I have no problem hitting decline, like algorithm or not. If you send me a crappy, now if I'm in a pissy mood, I will counter at a penny under asking. So you caught me at a bad time. If I counter you at a penny less, I'm having a bad day. That's all I'll say. And I do have them. And it's funny. I had one, I think it was yesterday. They sent me, it was an okay offer. It was like 30% off, but it newly listed. So I'm not going to accept more than 10%. And so I actually countered, they sent 30% off. I countered my bottom and I said, hey, this is the lowest I'm willing to take. And they came back at less than their first offer. So then I went up to a penny under asking. Here's my counter. They came back even lower. I declined. I said, I'm done messing with you. Taking enough of my time. Done with this game.
But
that's why I don't do that. Because I will get emotional. We try not to. We don't want to be.
But Ken, I think you made a good point there. What a lot of people don't use is the there's a chat message that you can actually send with your offer. So like in that situation, when Kat just listed an item, someone sent her a 30% offer. Like I put notes in there, say, hey, I'm willing to work with you, but I just listed this item less than 24 hours ago. So I can't go down low, but here I'm willing to work with you with a fair offer and give you a slight discount or something like that. And I will tell you, like, that has helped me out tremendously and has gotten the buyer understanding why I'm sending the offer the way I am, why I'm not. Because the buyer may just see the item pop up there. They don't know if that item's been listed for 10 minutes or for 100 days. So, you know, that's just a good way to communicate with the buyer and get a line of communication open.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, some of it, listen, I mean, they get the point. I guarantee you they get my point when I counter them at a penny under.
But
like, buddy, they ain't even close.
It's the great thing about what we do here.
I've made some sales like that.
Yeah.
Like, I've made sales like that. Like, they didn't take it personal. They're like, oh, I'm way too low. Let me come up and make a sale. Like, it happened. I do want to say something to you, though, Flower. And I know I saw in the chat you said that I was your reselling inspiration. So thank you. That really means a lot to me. I want to say that Mercari is my slowest selling platform, and I really want to urge you to try eBay. I know we were talking about it before. Ryan said he gets 80% of his sales off of eBay. I actually get over 90% of my sales off of eBay. Mercari is 5% or less of my sales. So I really would like to encourage you to please try eBay. I think you will get so many more sales and you will do so much better. eBay is a little bit of a learning curve when you're new, but it is so worth it. And I think it will be worth your time to learn eBay.
Yeah, Mercari is the absolutely easiest platform to list on. And then I would say the step up would be eBay, the next level. But Kat does make a good point. And there's only certain items that do sell Mercari. And a lot of like collectibles, toys, video game stuff, vintage clothing, that stuff does really well over there. Cards as well. But eBay is going to be your one-stop shop for everything in the world. Like anything you can think of, you can find eBay. They have 138 million users or whatever they have over there.
Yeah.
A lot bigger audience.
All right. Another question for Mr. Ryan. Pod Rosie says, I have a huge collection of vintage occult and astrology books of my mom's. They've been in storage, so they are very musty. Do those sell even if they're in bad shape?
Yes. That's the short answer. You want to disclose that. I would try to get them out somewhere where you can air them out a little bit and try to reduce that odor as much as you can. But as long as you disclose it, I just did a big buy back in January. It was a abandoned church library. No HVAC in that building for I don't know how many years. All the books had slightly musty scent, and I'm selling them left, right, and center on Whatnot and on eBay. So yeah, I would expect those books would do just fine. But obviously, just you want to disclose that is an issue, so that if somebody has a problem with that, they just don't buy it. At least in theory.
Ryan, can you tell me, like, have you ever tried using like the ozone machines and stuff for books to try and get that odor out?
I have not. I've used. I can't remember what they're called. I bought them on Amazon. It's almost like bags of like lava rock that will absorb odor. And I got a lot of
the charcoal does that. The activated charcoal will do that as well.
Yeah, this is something similar to that. And I put them in a Rubbermaid tote with a handful of books, and it did kind of at least lessen the odor. These were smoke odor, which is different, but I've not used an ozone machine. I know a lot of people swear by them. It's just not an expense I've managed to make.
I got mine for like $50 off Amazon, but and I got them because my rental house was trash. So before I moved inventory in there, I wanted the smell out of there. And so I bought 2 little ozone machines. I still have them. I'm not using them for inventory, but you would need a dedicated room to use it in because it is toxic. So you would have to like put it in a bathroom or something and stuff a towel so that ozone doesn't come out. And it does have to run for quite a while too. So definitely it's time consuming. I did it. I did the charcoal method with same thing, smoke smell on vintage Barbie clothes that were worth a lot. And so I put activated charcoal, tissue paper, laid the Barbie clothes in a like single layer out and sealed the tote for like 3 days. And it did not completely take it out, but there was definitely like a noticeable difference on them. All right. Mountain Bee says, I just got an email from eBay saying they canceled a sale due to concern with a buyer's account. The item was delivered a couple of weeks ago. What the heck?
Oh man, that sucks so bad. I don't even know. Now I've had that happen, but not after I've sent the item out. I'm hoping somebody's had that experience and can tell you exactly what to do. I know one thing. I've got concierge service. I'm calling eBay on that one for sure. Hey, I want to ask Ryan one thing though. On that occult, she said she has vintage occult. Some of that sounds really interesting. Like I think that's a good niche. I think the musty might add to the ambiance of that book. But anyways, I'm just saying. I hope somebody can help you with this because I've had that happen one time. It was whatever, but oh man,
yeah.
Go ahead. Somebody help her with that.
To go back to the book thing real quick, it's one of the reasons I don't try to repair books. I don't try to do a lot of excessive stuff because some people like the old antique book with that patina or that scent or whatever on it. So I'm not trying to make a decision for the buyer about what I want to do to that book. I'll let them do that once they get it and just kind of disclose what the condition is. I had one of these not too long ago. Same kind of thing. The item had been delivered weeks ago and I got this message from eBay and I went back into my payment account and they didn't reverse the charge. They just sent me a message randomly that they had canceled the sale. I still had the money. It never did come out of my account. So take a look at your payment statement and make sure the money is still there. And like she said, if it's not, then I would reach out to them. You've got proof of delivery with your tracking and get them to reverse that. But in the case I had, I was never charged. I just got this random message that it had been canceled and the money was all still there.
So on eBay, when you make a sale, it stays on your My eBay account for 90 days. So anytime there's a buyer's account gets suspended or they get kicked off eBay. So what happened is that buyer was probably doing some fraudulent things, or they broke some eBay policies or some rules and their account got suspended or got removed. So what they had to do is they're just notifying all the sellers that this is going to come up, going to be removed from your store now. As long as you ship the item, it marked as delivered, you're fine. I've had this happen to me a dozen times over the years. Unfortunately, nothing you can really do. But as long as you have it shipped, you should be fine.
Yeah, it normally says like if you've already shipped the item, then like you don't listen here, buddy. You don't lose the money. You should be fine. I wouldn't even call them. I don't think you'll lose the money. A lot of times what it is they like suspected something fraudulent. They close the buyer's account, but you got your money. So I don't think you'll lose it. Leroy says he's only saying hi to Rod. What sucks is I said I was giving my octopus to the next super chat. Now I'm very torn because I don't think Leroy deserves my octopus since he's not saying hi to me.
Just act like you're punching Leroy and you'll be good to go. There you go.
Leroy with my octopus, buddy. All right. I'm going to give it and then I'm going to punch him at the end. Here we go.
Don't make that.
Damn it, Kat. That's my gimmick. Stop stealing my gimmick.
Did you make that?
Maybe.
Gino made it.
That's so cute.
Gino made it for me for my octopus because Rod got mad. I kept doing that with his. So how am I supposed to do it? I don't know. It's a super sticker. It doesn't count, Mark. Gotta pay up, Leroy. Pay up.
Super sticker.
We don't see if it's a super sticker or super chat on the StreamYard end. So I don't have YouTube open. Not Funny wants to know, do you guys take a tax write-off for donating clothing?
I forgot to do that this year, but yeah, typically I might have some things, but Probably not, but every once in a while I might have some things, maybe my husband does, but and if I don't think it's sellable or worth listing or worth taking to the booth, I might make a little box and take it to one of the few places that will give you a little tax thing, donation slip for you. No, I don't do anything major, you guys, but why not?
I don't. The way I account for my inventory, it goes in as an asset, and if I decide to write it out, I'll write it out whether I donate it or not. But then I don't then try to also take a tax write-off for the donation for business inventory. For personal stuff, if I donate a bag of clothes, yeah, I will take the personal write-off for that. But anything with my business is accounted for completely separately.
So this is going to be based on how you do your accounting and what your accountant says best for you. For
we
me,
are not accountants.
we're not accountants. That's correct. So we can't give accountant advice, but we can just tell you what we do. There's other tax advantages or stuff that you can do with your business where a simple donation of clothing won't have any type of impact on it. So for me, I do something different with my accountant. So I'm sure Kat probably does something different as well.
Yeah, so we've talked about this, and again, we are not accountants. I think this is definitely something to ask an accountant, but the standard deduction is really high. Like you would have to donate probably semi-trucks full of clothes to match what the standard deduction is. So typically, even my mortgage interest that's thousands and thousands of dollars, it doesn't even come into play because the standard deduction is so high. So
what is the standard deduction? That was something ridiculous.
It's like 27 grand or something. It's something ridiculous.
They went up to 27, if I'm not mistaken.
What is the standard? I have to talk while I'm typing. Deduction for 2025. Let's see.
For 2024.
Well, same difference. 22. Look, I'm good. Okay, so if you're single, it's $15,000. So you would have to donate over $15,000 worth of clothes. If you're married, it's $30,000, and if you're head of household, it's $22,500.
So it's not even going to touch it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not unless you're really rich and you're donating 50 grand to this charity and 10 grand to this charity, you're not going to go over the standard.
This is why we tell you guys all the time that it's very important that you guys if you have a business, do not step over $100 bills to pick up pennies. Make sure you get an accountant or talk to an accountant, because you guys could be leaving money on the table or doing things that's not best for your business. So I would say if you're running this as a business, highly recommend using an accountant. It may cost you a couple $100, but it could save you thousands at the end of the day.
I have to put this up there before I put the question. Chai said that I have an amazing eye for girly collectible items, but I'm not the girly type. And that is so true that it's not even funny. So if I do use both sides of my brain, but if you guys know me, and if you watch my thrifting video, I look like this on Tuesday. Any other day of the week, I do not.
Your hair's pulled back in a ponytail.
Yeah, that it is very true. I've never carried a purse in my life. I don't wear heel. I am very, very far from being girly. So I just thought that was funny. I want to put up there while I saw it. All right. So Licia wants to know, do you know whether Poshmark and Mercari cover sales over $100 for damage or loss?
No, I don't know.
I know Mercari has a seller protection of some sort if you use their labels, but I don't, so I've never really looked into it.
I don't know off the top of my head. That was something I would do research on.
I don't know as far as damage, because what sucks is neither of those platforms offer. Well, Mercari, you could do your own shipping, so technically you could put the insurance on if you did your own shipping. Or Poshmark does not offer that option. Thank you, Pamela. Yeah, if you weren't here earlier, this is my natural curls. This is no curling iron or rollers. This is my hair naturally. So we might have to do this more. All right.
Mercari's
here, Ryan's going to tell us.
Mercari's seller protection on their help center says they enjoy you get up to $200 of shipping protection, but it's not real clear about whether that covers damage and loss. So, but it's up to $200, but you have to use their labels
to get the seller protection.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Lucy said she's a newbie. She's selling on Poshmark. She wants to sell on eBay. She learned about LP from me. Can you transfer listings from Poshmark to eBay, or do you have to add to LP first? So I'm gonna answer this. So you can do either. What I recommend is going from Poshmark to LP and then LP to eBay, because what if you decide you want to add Mercari, that you're handling the two platforms good? Then you're going to have them on all three platforms, and there's no central catalog, which is what LP does. So you want that central catalog, and in order for the auto delister to work, to take them down, they have to be in LP catalog. So I would go from Posh to LP and LP to eBay, which probably isn't what you want to hear. It's a little bit more work, but I think in the long run, again, or if you wanted to add in Etsy for some of those items or something, it would be better to put them in LP, but you can move them from Posh to eBay. If you want to do that, you can. All right. Tiffany says she would like to sell her daughter's books in one listing with a drop down for the customer to select the ones they want. I can't figure out how to set it up. Do I have to be a business to do that?
Or I'm assuming eBay again. Wait a minute. Can you do a variation listing like that with a variety?
You can, but I wouldn't.
Not. I mean, maybe if it's in the same set, right? But not.
You would have to like show the whole stack of books and then make like a big disclaimer that they're only buying this one book, and then they could drop it down and pick. It's like,
and then your title.
I wouldn't do it.
You only have 80 characters in your title, so some of the books would fall under the radar probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with if they're all from the same series, you could do, a drop down for volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, that sort of thing. I'm with Kat. I don't do that. I list them all individually so that I can take photos of each one individually, because each one, unfortunately, is probably in a different condition than the others. And it's more to protect myself to have just individual listings. So I see sellers do that all the time, where they're like, choose one from a particular series, but I just don't. I haven't found that to be the way I want to do it.
I agree with you guys. Same thing. Or I would sell them in if I have series, I actually break them down and I'll sell them in lots of maybe 1 through 5 or stuff like that too, because people they're going to buy them. They like to buy the series.
Yeah, look, and I mean, I answered like I would do it separately. It's super easy with books though. If they're not expensive, do front and back. Like if they're expensive, I'm going to do some interior photos, but if they're not, they get front and back, and that's it for me.
See, I take about 12 pictures, even for the cheapest books, because if there's 50 of us trying to sell a $7.99 book and my listing's got 10 or 12 pictures, I feel like I've got a better chance of capturing that sale, and it doesn't take me that much longer to take a couple extra photos. So,
can I ask a question before we move on about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not a fan of using AI on eBay for your listings, but I won't get all crunchy about that. But when it comes to books, Ryan, wouldn't AI, that seems to me like that might be something where AI is perfectly fine, because a book, it is what it is. Like they're going to go get the information, and it's not going to be sugary fluff like when I try to use eBay's AI to talk about my vintage Viking vase. So have you tried AI when listing books? Because that seems like it might make sense to me there.
You would think that it would not insert all that unnecessary fluff, but it does.
Okay.
I don't use it, and I found that it was not. All it was doing was pulling the information out of my title and my item specifics, and then trying to create this really flowery paragraph that is so obviously AI.
LP's AI is so much better.
That was my next question. Is LP better?
150%. Watch my video. It says game changer. I think you can search game changer. It is so much better. All right. Buckeyes for Thrifting says, how do you inventory your stock? I mostly go on memory, but looking for a better way. I have over 2,000 items.
again, I am part-time, so all of my answers, you need to remember that. I never keep more than 300 items, maybe 500 at one time before I had booths. Right now, I actually only have 80. So I just kind of go in and do a count and just do an average. I know what I will and will not pay for items. So the bulk of my items, I can just go in and be like, okay, average cost was $3. How many do I have? And then go over to my high dollar section and be like, okay, plus this, 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 and this. So that's how I do mine.
When you say you want to know how to do inventory, do you mean how to?
I think they mean to store it and
right,
storage.
rather
They don't
than like
think-
the accounting
So she
aspect
said
of it.
going on memory.
No, I don't think accounting. I think they mean how to find the stuff
Right.
once it sells.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I know my limits and I'm part-time, so I only keep.
And she
never
only
more
has
than
300.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, move it along.
Yeah. I, on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, have over 11,000. So I've got shelves and shelves and shelves full of stuff. And each box that goes on a shelf gets a kind of an inventory label. So A1, A2, A3, and so on. And then I use that same number on eBay or on Etsy as the custom SKU, so that when that thing sells, I know I got to go find bin A1, and that book is going to, in theory, at least be in that box. So, and
I like you add in theory to that.
right, because you have that, random chance where you meant A1, but you put it in A2 or whatever. And I know how my dyslexic brain works sometimes, so I generally am able to find everything. But yeah, so I started that very early on, creating boxes using a label, individual label for every box, and then that goes into the custom SKU field so that you can really quickly track where the item's located.
So I also use a SKU system. I have totes I use. I put A1, A2, A3 to A, and I have multiple shelves, and my shelves are on rollers, like kind of like the same like stainless steel shelving units you get at the if you ever worked in a restaurant, they have them like in the back of a restaurant. You can just move them around, so it makes it very easy. I put all my inventory against the wall, and I can just pull them out like you would at a library, like that slides out and push them back. I would also recommend using clear totes if you're an everything seller, because this way you can see what totes are running low, and then what totes you can fill to put more inventory back in instead of using the solid color totes. And then I use a hybrid model. Not only do I use a SKU system like A1, A2, A3, but I tend to keep all my video games in like the bottom shelf to like say like A3, A4. So that even though I'm putting in the SKU, I try to keep my items in those same SKUs. So that way, even if I accidentally put it in the wrong tote or something like that, or if I didn't put the SKU on my listing, I can go back like, oh, video game. It's probably one of the rest of my other video games. I'll go in there. Oh, there it is. So that also helps me out if I make a mistake. So I kind of use a hybrid model of both.
Yeah. So I will tell you, I started my SKU system at about 500 items. My memory is pretty dang good. But when you get up to thousands of items, you're not going to remember. You're going to think you remember, but you're not going to remember. So I would start it right now. I also do A1, A2. We have 4 separate areas that our inventory is housed in. So for us, like one area is a single letter. Listen here, buddy. Ron's like, who's she talking to? One area is like A1, A2, and then another area is AA1, AA2. So we know like, okay, it's in the canning kitchen, it's in the shed. And then I don't know why in here I made everything X. So we knew it was in here, but it's not in here anymore. Now it's in the other house. So in the other house we put, because it's a mobile home. So we'll put trailer, master bedroom, tote 1, trailer, middle bedroom, tote 2. So it really doesn't matter how you label it as long as you can find it. Like I have like my desk, I have my Kachina collection up here. So those just say on desk because they're on my desk, because that's where I like to keep my Kachinas, because I like to look at them. And we have a display shelf. So a lot of my really cool stuff I put on the display shelf again, so I can see it all the time because I like it. So that for inventory just says display shelf. You can put like we and I show this in my, if you search the Nurse Flipper shed, you will see my inventory system. Like our canning kitchen has an old oven. So some of the SKU is canning kitchen oven. It's in the oven. That's where we keep it. You just have to find it. But start now. And we discussed this a lot last week, the questions that came up. And that is, what if something happens to you and somebody else has to find that stuff?
Correct. I was about to say
So
that.
now you have 2,000 items that aren't labeled that you couldn't. What if you couldn't tell them where they were at? Heaven forbid. So I would start it. I don't know that I would go back. I didn't go back when I started my SKU system. I didn't go back and SKU the 500 items that weren't SKU'd. And some of them are still listed, which is really funny because that was 4 years ago, and good luck to me remembering where it's at. Now, we did move a lot of stuff out of the house and in to the sheds, and then we did label it if it got moved. But yeah. All right. Teresa said she picked up a Tiffany & Co. box, a larger one. It had a champagne flute in it. It was in a basement and has some dirt smudges on it, not grease, not oil. How can I clean the cardboard box without destroying it?
The smudges are on the box. Okay. Tiffany & Company, if I'm not mistaken, I've got one box behind me. Aren't they slightly laminated? I think mine is, but it was a jewelry box. I think they're slightly laminated, but you still need to be careful. If it's just dirt smudges, not grease and oil, that's awesome. Not sticker stuff. Okay, if it's laminated like mine, you should be able to get that off there okay. But
No idea how you would clean a box without doing some kind of damage to it.
Pass this on the cat.
I would not do it. I would leave the dirt smudges. I would take pictures of it. I would disclose it, and it will still sell. I would not try. And I had a lot of boxes. I still have a lot of boxes. All right. One last question, and then we will let everybody say bye. So Chai wants to know, Rod, did you recover from your 3 weeks of not listing yet, or are your sales still sucky? Just curious how long it takes to recover.
Yeah, so I will say, so for those that don't know, I took 1 week off. I went to Vegas. I decided to just enjoy some time with my wife, and then I was speaking at the Boss Reseller Mix. When I came back, my dad was visiting me, and I did a minor amount of work, but I stopped listing on eBay for 3 weeks. And let me tell you, that was a shock for my system. But I would say since then, I've started listing on eBay and start cross-listing again to other platforms. And I would say my sales have gone up dramatically since then. And yes, I'm starting to recover. I'm not quite there yet, but I am starting to recover, and it made a drastic change. I've been listing a lot. So that's the biggest thing. Listing has been helping.
Perfect. All right. Yvonne?
yeah. Sorry, I'm arguing with somebody in the chat. My box is laminated. Just so you know, it is slightly laminated. So there's that.
Yeah, if it has
But
that
maybe-
plastic coating, that's like a whole different thing. But
Yeah.
not all of them,
All of them might not be.
are. There
Right.
are some paper ones out there.
Yeah.
So be
that was
very,
my-
if it's glossy, it's one thing. If it's not, I don't know if I would try. Because that
Yeah.
could be a $30 box and you ruin it.
right. That's why I said if it's
I'd be
laminated,
worried about it.
then it would be.
All right, Yvonne, I'm gonna make Yvonne big, and then I'm gonna make Ryan big, and then Rod and myself will tell you what we've got going on. So here is Yvonne.
Okay, you guys, this was really fun. And Ryan, it was really great to meet you. I really enjoy your channel. I'm going to go see what else you have up there because I've learned some things that I didn't know being MIA from eBay. So thanks for your updates on that and the information over from e-commerce. Anyways, let me promote myself. So anyways, Yvonne Thrifty Rich. I do live sales every Thursday, vintage, collectibles, pottery, glass, jewelry. Every once in a while in the future, you might see me over on District or over on Whatnot. And I've got 2 booths, eBay, I do have 2 videos, thrifting videos. I did start those back up last month. I've got 2 that I did today on my phone. Let me get those cleaned up and I'll drop them over on my channel. Thank you, Kat, so much. Thank you, Rod. Thank you.
Perfect. Here's Ryan.
Thanks again to Kat and to Rod, and a special shout out to Mary from Mike Metco Meetups, who kind of played matchmaker to get me on here. I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for the kind words on my show. If you are a reseller and you want to try to keep up with some of the changes that are going on in the world of reselling, my podcast has a ton of information every week on changes on the platforms we just covered. I saw somebody asked in the chat about people leaving Bonanza because of the change in fees. If you happen to sell over there, they made a big announcement. That's something that I covered in this week's podcast. So if that's the kind of thing that you would be interested in, so you don't have to go and do all that research and sit through eBay opens yourself, I do that for you. So you can find me on YouTube or pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you go to Google and just search Galaxy CDs Rocks, the last time I looked, I think I was every search result on the first 2 pages but 1. So pretty easy to find. Thanks again.
Perfect. Rod, what's going on your 20 channels?
I just dropped a brand new video on my picking punching channel today. Yesterday, I dropped a brand new video on picking punching cards. Tomorrow, you'll have a new episode of the No Banger Sports Card Podcast. Drops tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And I am doing a massive show on Dibit on April 27th, guys. I'm putting up $5,000 of merchandise. I'm starting at $1 each. We're talking about video game consoles. We're talking about autographs and everything you can think of. Comic books, graded comic books, all kind of crazy stuff. So I put up brand new Star Wars figures from 1983, like still brand new in the package. So on the 27th is a Sunday night. I'll be going live from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So be prepared. I'm giving away Nintendo Wii's. I'm giving away a ton of stuff too. So it's coming up.
Dalton made it back just in time. I sent him in to take a shower to tell you guys bye. We, again, will be down south for the rest of the week finding sharks. We're doing a different kind of treasure hunting. I might go thrifting. While I'm down there. I'll try and remember to bring my my GoPro with me. So tomorrow I'm going to have my regular what sold. Friday is high dollar what sold. And I have 20 items that sold over $50 in a week or a week and a half. So a lot of high dollar items. That one's going to be really good. Marcia or Dalton, Marcia said you got to find her a shark's tooth. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to find her one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then Sunday what did I do? That's it. Oh, I did pottery because I love pottery. Pottery is one of my other things. I wish I was going to Key West, man. Key West is 10 hours from me. It sucks being up here in North Florida. The Keys is one of my favorite places. But yeah, so we're just going down to Sanibel and Venice. I maybe after we get back, I will get back on my Catch Treasure Hunting channel. I've been slacking. I didn't put a video up for a month, and I put one, and then now it's been 2 weeks again, I think. And I'm trying. I have so much going on. It's just kind of so. I appreciate you guys watching. Ryan, Yvon, thank you guys for coming on so much. And everybody in the chat, we cannot do this without you. Do you want to tell everybody goodbye?
Bye.